Hello there, everyone. Or maybe I should let my hey y'all come out just for this video. It's a special trip that we took to a beloved restaurant in the Georgia mountains, and we're inviting you to come along with us as we visit for the first time the Dillard House. Yum yum! Bring your appetites! We are at the Dillard House Restaurant today for lunch. They opened this restaurant 104 years ago in 1917. It's been family owned and operated since. It's a family style farm to table restaurant that will have beautiful views on top of that. Let's see how much we can fit in without being like where we have to roll on ourselves out when we finish. Come on. Having visited on a Friday afternoon, they had fried catfish and hush puppies. Ooh boy, yum yum. Besides the beautiful view welcoming us to our table, we sit down to 2 tasty light salad bites.
Oh, that's perfect right there. I think it's fine. It's not...
He made special accommodations for those of us that
you can't give me the super sweet. You give me from that.
Cabbage casserole, mac and cheese casserole, macaroni, bacon swirl, catfish, hush puppies, and some chicken.
Awesome, thank you. Appreciate it.
like a lot of food.
Looks good.
I'm going to interrupt this meal right now to show you what Food Network and Alton Brown thought about the Dillard House's famous ham.
I'm not shy about my adoration for saltiness, although I don't just eat it straight out of the bag. I like the salt. If you told me that I could only have salt once from now to the end of time, I would drive up to Dillard, Georgia and go to the Dillard House, and I would have the country ham, which is about as salty gets and still good. I remember having this, and I'd never had something so intensely salty, but I couldn't stop eating it. Country hams are preserved by salt alone.
We bring them in and age them at least 20 more days.
And then generally hung to dry.
And we like to have the heat in this room about 80 degrees.
We take it from there and take extra care how we prepare it. We use bacon grease.
Then we're going to add about a cup of coffee and a little bit of brown sugar.
They've stuck more to tradition.
Great-grandmother did it from 1917 all the way through. She passed away in the 70s, and we carried it on from there.
And they've stuck to the tradition of their service, you know, sitting at big family-style tables, which I love. That's kind of a lost style of hospitality, I think, in the United States. We all want our own tables. We don't want to eat with strangers. I like to eat with strangers. And they just bring food, which I love. That's kind of a lost responsibility of ordering. It's like eating in somebody's house. Here's what's for dinner. When you're chewing this ham, the salt is there, it's right up front, and then it kind of melds into a lot of other flavors. So it's the star on the Christmas tree, but it's not the whole Megillah. You have to learn how to see through the salt. And then it kind of melds into a lot of other flavors. Butter comes out, and then a nuttiness comes out, and then you start getting spices. I could swear there's pineapple there. And then a deeper sweetness, a very kind of almost primal sweetness that comes out at the end. It makes you very glad you're a carnivore. So fruity, nutty, buttery, meaty, and heck yes, salty.
Right here, I would like to add my opinion. The food at the Dillard House was surprisingly not overly salted. The ham, yes, was salty, depending on your palate, but the rest of the food was so true to the flavor of each vegetable and dish.
are a very important part of this business. The whole family was. My husband grew up in this business. He bussed tables when he was 16, and he went to the University of Georgia, and he would come home every weekend and wait on customers in the restaurant. She had her own chickens, she had cows, she had a huge vegetable garden. She would cook all the vegetables and the meat and bring it to the table in large bowls and serve her boarders. Everything is fresh. It's cooked daily, fresh. It's a variety of 3 different kinds of meats, 7 vegetables, homemade rolls, cornbread, homemade cobblers. It's all cooked from scratch.
And you can taste the simple yet vibrant, fresh flavors in everything we had served to us. From the cabbage casserole, which was a new dish to me and absolutely one of my favorite dishes I've ever tried, to the not so overly sweet fresh peach cobbler. I will say that the recipes made sure that the actual flavors of the locally sourced vegetables and such were the highlights of the meal.
After 100 years, we still buy farm fresh vegetables and prepare them on site, the way my husband's grandmother used to. The Dillard House, which was founded in 1917 by my husband's grandmother, whose name was Carrie Edwards Dillard. She started a boarding house. She had her own garden. She grew all of her vegetables. She grew chickens. She had a cow for milk. She raised pigs, made her own sausage and bacon, and started taking in boarders, and that's how the Dillard House began.
David and I both enjoyed the sweet family style and homey feeling in the atmosphere and fine service at the Dillard House, and we'll plan to come again when we are ever around the area.
There it is.
So how was it?
I don't want to keep eating because then you ruin the whole experience. So that's right. And there's dessert still, so
Always
gotta wait on that. Absolutely.
Going to their stables. I see lots of horses. Look at that hydrangea. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so pretty. Look at all of them. As you can see, the Dillard House isn't only the restaurant. They have rooms that you can stay, cottages, stables, so many things to do and see in this area that will keep you entertained. They even hold events. If you want to have a beautiful wedding, this would be the perfect place. And you couldn't ask for a more beautiful backdrop than these glorious Blue Ridge Mountains. Speaking of the beautiful view of the mountains, let's take a flight. Let's see what it looks like from a bird's eye view. There's a lot of beautiful things to see in this area. See if you can check out this special memorial that was on the grounds of the Gap-nacoochee School. Doing some antiquing today?
You're antiquing.
Some good stuff all around this area.
Roger, me that. Okay with that, if you're okay with that.
Looks good to me. Roger, over.
Thank you, honey bunny.
Well, that was an adventure. We got resettled in after having to move from one camp spot to another. There was an issue with a septic problem on the campground and they needed us to move to another spot. So while they're fixing that, we got a new spot and we'll just stay here for the rest of our time here. When you move spots, you still have to pack up like you're going on a long trip. Put all the breakables away, but I got everything settled back in, I think. Let's hope. So what I do before we travel or move is secure everything that is loose or breakable. Try to keep them padded. Some things go into the cabinets, and then some things I secure in other ways, and I'll show you right here. Now, in the kitchen area, all the breakables and things that can create messes if you improperly store them or don't store them when you're traveling. And I have had that happen actually recently. Things in the refrigerator. The one time that you miss an item is when you might hit an extra bump or an extra curve, and that item will make a mess for you when you come back in. So you have to be very careful to secure items even in your refrigerator, like bottles of wine. Our coffee bar area and tea, and then of course our stove. Those things, they get put away before we leave. Our decorative items, they get put away, stowed away before we leave. I even use my sink. Then of course we have all our instruments, which are fragile, and we have to take extra care when traveling to move them into safe places. We have to take them off the walls, off their stands, and put them where they'll be safe and sound while we're traveling. We make use of our pillows and any kind of blanket that we may have just lying around. We'll use it to add padding. I actually use pillows in the cabinets for the breakable items. We also use some of the pillows to pad certain instruments while traveling. And that's a good tip for people, I think, to make use of everything that you have. You don't necessarily have to go buy something else to serve a purpose. You may have something on hand and make it multi-purpose to help you along. And even on those times where we're not going far, like just moving to one camp spot to another location on the same campground, I am very particular. I still secure everything and go through the same steps that I would if it were a long journey, because I know invariably if you don't, you'll be sorry. I don't want to be sorry. And while I handle most everything inside for preparation before traveling, David handles everything on the outside. All the difficult stuff that takes a lot of energy, planning, and strength. He does that, and I do the little things that are breakable on the inside. We have our method, and everybody has their own. Bless you. So whatever method works for you, go with that. One other tip that I have works very well for us is when we arrive to a new campsite, I clean. And I clean before I start unpacking, because it's very easy. You don't have a lot of stuff on the countertops, on surfaces, and you can just whip those wipes out, and also the floor too, and then you'll be ready and cleaned in no time. It's a nice habit, I think, to get, and it helps you feel refreshed and ready for your new place. When you are trying to sleep, sometimes any little light can be a bother to certain people, and there are lots of lights in an RV, and they all usually have different switches or different purposes, obviously. We have some that David figured out how to mask when we're trying to sleep, and I think they're great ideas. Let me show you. This picture serves multiple purposes. Look what's hiding beneath. Those blue lights are very bright at night, but not when that is down. And this pretty message serves another purpose. More blue lights that could keep you awake, but not when that's up. Now, there's something else that was a wonderful thing that David did for me. I hide things under our bed because it's a great place to store things that you will access frequently. Our bed has an underneath area. You don't have to lift our bed up in order to get to those things that are stored. You just reach underneath. Sometimes, though, I have been in a hurry and I've gone to reach for things very quickly, and I've actually hit or jammed my fingers on the side of the bed, and that's not very pleasant. So he had a great idea, and I'll show you what it is. Right here is a soft noodle, and it's covering the edge of the sharp board that I've had a few incidences with before, and I really enjoy the new soft touch. I don't have to worry about getting hurt anymore. Ginger beer.